it's Destiny, and after a couple of days of Silver Wolf's release and the new Novaflares, I wanted to check out the latest tier list changes with you all, and I'd love to know if you pulled for any of the banners in 4.2 or if you're waiting for the second half. And if you enjoy videos like these, do make sure to subscribe, leave a like to support today's video. And with all the amazing characters coming up, you may be thinking about purchasing Oneric shards, and I wanted to mention Aniba. I have been using Aniba now for a couple of months, and Aniba is in 100% compliance with Huohuo versus policies and is a safe way to get more pulls, and there's also cash back. All you have to do is type in your UID, pick the pack you'd like to purchase, and boom, there we go. And with Aniba's cash back, this can let you get even more pulls. All you have to do is go to your order, claim cashback, and now you can use your cashback to purchase even more Oneric shards. I wanted to say thank you to Aniba for sponsoring today's video, and now let's carry on. So here are the recent tier list changes, which we actually have quite a bit considering that we have Silver Wolf, we have the Novaflares, we also have Elation Trailblazer, and this did shift some of the characters on the tier list as well. Starting off with Silver Wolf, she is debuting in Tier 0 in Memory of Chaos, 0.5 in Pure Fiction, and Tier 0 in APOC as well. I'm not too surprised that Silver Wolf is debuting in Tier 0. She is our latest anniversary character and is also a powerful damage dealer alongside other Elation characters. Now, of course, her performance will heavily differ if you do not have Elation characters. When it comes to Silver Wolf's kit, it revolves around her ultimate, and in order to get into her ultimate, you have to get enough points of MMR, and the way to do this is by generating Punchline. Silver Wolf's Elation skill will also give her MMR, and so on. So having other Elation characters on the team are going to greatly assist with actually being able to get into Silver Wolf's ultimate, and her enhanced basic attack is where a majority of her damage will be coming from. There are ways to further enhance the damage of her enhanced basic attack though, which is based on how many hidden MMR points you have. And this is where your team members come into play, as they'll be able to assist with getting Silver Wolf more and more MMR so that she's able to further enhance the damage of her basic attack. And even when it isn't Silver Wolf's turn, other characters on the team can also utilize her loot box mechanic. She has 3 loot boxes, and each one will have a unique effect. When it comes to Silver Wolf's placement, I see her being in Tier 0 for quite a while, especially considering that the Elation team isn't fully complete yet from what it appears. There's likely a chance we would get an Elation sustain, which at that point we would then have a full team of Elation characters. And when it comes to the testing I have done with Silver Wolf, with a lower cost team of using her alongside Yao Guang and Elation Trailblazer, and also not having any signature light cones, I was able to get a 1 cycle clear on both sides of Memory Chaos. There are also clears out there with sustainless, for example using Welt in the last slot, or Asta, and those teams have the potential for 0 cycle clears as well. But I would say with her current performance, she's performing nicely in all the endgame modes. They actually did end up putting Elation Trailblazer in 0.5, which 0.5 is actually pretty crowded right now. We have Saridra, Cypher, Sunday, Fugue, 3 Trailblazers, and Kirby. I'm actually not too sure if I would fully agree with Elation Trailblazer being beside Remembrance Trailblazer, just due to how much versatility Remembrance Trailblazer is able to provide, and how they are still nicely utilized to this day when it comes to being able to provide the true damage buff with mem support, the action advance, and so on. So I'm actually not too sure if I would agree with Elation Trailblazer being in the same tier as Remembrance Trailblazer personally. In the case of Elation Trailblazer, you would primarily just use them on Elation-centric teams. But I'd love to know what you all think, if you agree that Elation Trailblazer should be in tier 0.5 alongside Remembrance Trailblazer, or if you would perhaps have them a little lower. And then in tier 0 for the amplifiers, we have Cyrene, who is one of the best characters for one of the strongest teams currently in Star Rail, being Mono Remembrance with Castris, Evernight, Hyacinth, and then of course Cyrene herself. Or even if you were to use main DPS Evernight, you can absolutely use Cyrene there as well as a very powerful teammate. Then we have Sparkle, who got incredible Novaflare buffs in 4.0, so it does make sense that Sparkle has also gone up on the tier list over time, and her being a great team member for characters like Sparxie, Archer, you can use Sparkle alongside Finon, and so on. Then we have the Dahlia. If I'm not mistaken, the last time I checked out the tier list, the Dahlia was actually in 0.5. I'm pretty happy to actually see her in tier 0, as someone in my comments last time made a pretty good point that if a character like Firefly is in tier 0 and the Dahlia was a huge contributor to why Firefly has gone up as much as she has on the tier list, it would make sense to have a character like the Dahlia really high on the tier list as well. The Dahlia is easily one of Firefly's best team members, and while Firefly did get a Novaflare buff, I would say if you don't have the Dahlia for Firefly, you definitely want to consider picking her up, just because of how much she'll provide for Firefly as a whole, as well as any other break-centric characters you may have on your account or you may want to try out. The Dahlia is an incredibly important character, I would say, for the playstyle, so I would agree that tier 0 does make sense for her. It also allows you to take advantage of super break damage without enemies being broken. So for characters like Firefly, she's able to still deal significant amounts of damage onto enemies even before they are broken, thanks to the Dahlia. And of course, Firefly did get some nice Novaflare buffs. She got an increase to her super break multiplier. She's able to inflict fire weakness onto the main enemy she's hitting now and the adjacent enemies with her skill. She's able to delay her complete combustion states a bit. And her E2 also received a buff as well for those that do have E2. Now, of course, the tier list is just considering E0 Firefly, but regardless, Firefly has definitely been getting quite a lot of love when it comes to the Novaflare buff, and then of course the release of the Dahlia. We also have Yao Guang, which I would agree with Yao Guang's placement due to how beneficial she is for the Elation playstyle. Yao Guang is going to be able to provide a variety of buffs, being Elation buffs, old type res pen for the team, but one of her most important benefits is the fact that she can trigger Aha instant with her ultimate. This not only allows you to take advantage of more Elation skills, resulting in more damage being dealt onto enemies and also being able to generate, in Silver Wolf's case, more MMR, but she can nicely help with the uptime of the certified banger state for characters like Silver Wolf or even characters like Sparxie. Silver Wolf is a very fast damage dealer, so because of this, she can actually end up exiting the certified banger states, and if you don't have certified banger on Silver Wolf, it'll be a very noticeable difference in her damage output. It'll highly decrease without certified banger. So being able to maintain certified banger on Silver Wolf is very important for her playstyle, and due to her being a very fast character, she may end up getting quite a lot of turns before Aha instant triggers depending on your team. Yao Guang nicely assists with this issue though, thanks to the fact that she can trigger Aha instant with her ultimate. Now we also have Huohuo over here. Huohuo is currently 0.5. She's currently on the watch list though, so she may potentially go up. But something about Huohuo's Novaflare buffs that I personally, as well as others, were a bit disappointed with is the fact that they didn't add something to help with preventing one-shots from enemies. So for example, damage mitigation would have been pretty helpful, or just some sort of mechanic that can assist the team surviving, especially in modes like Anomaly Arbitration when enemies are hitting incredibly hard. Now, of course, her being able to provide attack buffs, the energy, and so on is great. A lot, including myself, were just hoping for a bit more given to her sustainability factor. I'd love to know though if you think Huohuo should be in tier 0 or 0.5. And then for our next Novaflare character, we have Welt. Welt received amazing Novaflare buffs. If I'm not mistaken, Welt was actually at the bottom of the tier list before his Novaflare buffs. Welt is going to be able to inflict a new debuff onto enemies, which is weightless. This will reduce their speed, delay their actions, and also reduce their defenses at E0. If you have E4, this will also be their ult type resistance, which is huge for the team's damage output. But Welt has received amazing Novaflare buffs, arguably some of the best Novaflare buffs. So it is nice to see Welt go up on the tier list, but Welt can be used as a general debuffer on your team. If you have E4 and above, you can also consider going with main DPS, or you can consider using him as a pseudo sustain. Due to him being able to slow down enemies and also being able to delay enemies with this kit, enemies will not be able to attack you as often. So this can also be an option for Welt here, which I actually did try this out with the Elation team and it performed pretty nicely. So overall, I'm just pretty happy with Welt's Novaflare buffs. Seele has also gone up. I do think when it comes to pure fiction, there definitely could be an argument potentially for 0.5, especially with how she's currently able to one-shot mobs. This allows her to use her skills very frequently in modes like pure fiction. I actually did release a showcase of this recently, and Seele was able to get 40k in pure fiction without many issues at all. If you have a character like Saridra on the team or even other supports, this can also further amplify her playstyle. You can also consider using Seele with a character like Ashveil, which is a pretty fun synergy, as you'll be able to deal very frequent damage onto enemies, and Ashveil can help with getting enemies to that 50% or below threshold for Seele to unleash another skill onto them. So overall, I'm really happy to see Seele go up on the tier list as well. She may end up going up even higher though. She's currently on watch list, so depending on her performance, I'm assuming in this MOC and maybe the next one, she may actually end up going even higher. Welt is also on the watch list. I think all the Novaflare characters except for Firefly are on watch list, so they may end up actually going higher depending on how they end up performing in the next endgame modes, I would assume. But yeah, in pure fiction in particular, I think there could definitely be argument for her potentially in 0.5. Something I also wanted to point out is that tier 0 actually feels quite crowded. I'm really curious, do you all agree with all the characters that are currently in tier 0? But overall, I would say that I'm actually really happy with just some of the Novaflare characters going up on the tier list. For example, Welt and Seele. I think with Welt especially, they did a really nice job with improving his kit and making him a more versatile character. I also have been having a lot of fun with Saridra lately when it comes to using her with Welt and Seele with the double skill. Also, if you could pick any character to get a Novaflare, who would it be? For me personally, I would love an Acheron Novaflare. I think that'd be really cool. The other break characters getting a Novaflare would be really nice. For example, like a Rappa Novaflare, a Boot Hill Novaflare. I would love Novaflares for a lot of our other standard characters. For example, Himiko. Har Novaflare would be cool. Yanqing Novaflare, please! We need the Yanqing Novaflare. But yeah, that'll be all from me today. I hope all of you have a great one. More videos will be coming out very, very soon. And I hope you're all enjoying 4.2. Lastly, if you did enjoy today's video, do make sure to subscribe, leave a like to support today's video, and I hope to see you all next time. Peace.